This video is going to be a lesson on patience. Story time. I was talking to a friend of mine who reached out because he's been struggling lately. He's been feeling frustrated with his current work situation because he feels that he really wants to start his own thing, but his main job takes up so much of his time that he can't really dedicate any worthwhile energy and effort to it. And he's starting to get really frustrated to the point where he's considering just quitting. Some context. This friend of mine is actually quite young. He's only 22 years old. And the venture that he wants to start on his own is actually doing the same thing that he's doing at his main job, which is some marketing service for Instagram Reels specifically. Now, he reached out because he wanted to ask me for advice, essentially, as to what I think he should do in the situation. He expressed how he feels, his plan or lack of plan, and he wanted to know what I would do in this situation. So, more context, he has a pretty good relationship with his manager, good enough to where he can actually come to him with these feelings and there won't be any tension or affect the dynamic in his main work setting. And he would also be in favor of my friend pursuing his own venture if that was the case. But he's also very, let's say, critical when it comes to the skills that are needed to succeed in business and in life in general. And these skills are organizing your time and your energy effectively, being organized, being disciplined, showing up on time, following up on the things you said you were going to do, etc. And we were having the conversation, essentially discussing these same points, because he feels that he's at a point at his main job where it's a drag to do the day-to-day tasks, maybe because they're hard or maybe because they don't give him energy. But the point that I brought up to him just to consider is that it doesn't matter if it's his main job or the new business or whatever else he decides to pursue, there's going to come a point where things are going to be hard or are going to be a drag. There's going to be a point where you're going to face significant resistance. And that is actually the part where growth is going to happen. The part that you have to push through to actually see progress in whatever it is that you're doing. If he was to quit his main job, to go to fully commit to his venture, to his business, there's going to come a point in his business where he's going to face similar resistance. There's going to be things that he doesn't want to do. And I'm not saying he's going to fail or anything, but there's going to be a point where it's going to be something he doesn't want to do that takes energy away from him, that is just not a pleasant situation, because that's just how life is. And I told him that it is not good to develop the habit of pivoting every time you face that point of resistance, because then you're going to be one of these people that are always bouncing from thing to thing when the going gets tough. And it's not always going to be that way. If you push through, at the other side is going to be not only personal development, but you'll actually learn how to deal with those situations when you face them again in the future. And that was the point that I was trying to make, because again, I completely understand how he feels, because it reminded me of when I was in my corporate jobs, where I was so desperate to get out, start my own thing, but I didn't even have a plan of what I wanted to do. But I was just so desperate and so frustrated, thinking that I could be using this time for something else. And granted, that may be true. I'm not saying it's true for all cases, or it's an absolute truth, but everything stacks, meaning the experience he's going through right now, where he's only 22, learning how to go through meeting, prepare reports, show up on time, lead people, manage people, all the different experiences that he's going through, they are needed to progress and be successful in whatever endeavor he pursues. And I tried to make this very clear to him, because otherwise, it might bring him more fulfillment to just burn the boats and go all in on his thing, which it might work out for him. But the period of challenge, let's say, of growth or of hardship is inevitable. It's going to come a point where he's going to face his limits and he's going to have to either push past them, or do the same thing he's doing now and just pivot on to the next thing. Because that's something that I've learned, at least in my experience now, that I actually have compared to him. Of course, I've had years of corporate experience as well as now years of working for myself. It is something that, and it is inevitable. And it all comes down to being patient with yourself in learning the skills. Because once you develop the skills, soft skills and hard skills could be, the challenges that feel like a drag or take energy away from you, they'll become more manageable as you get better. But when you are young and starting out, it takes time and you have to be patient with yourself. We live in a time where, even sometimes I forget, where we want everything now. We want results in a month. We want results in so little time that we forget that a lot of life's areas are a marathon, really. You have to develop yourself. There's a misconception, or at least it's easy to get caught up in skewed perceptions of time, because we are constantly exposed to the outliers on social media, outliers of people who are 18, 19, 20, and they're making millions of dollars. But that's just the outlier. That's not the majority of people who actually had to work, grind, build themselves, build their skill set, build their connections, build their network, etc., to actually be able to achieve success. And that's going to be the truth for the majority of people. And it's really, let's say, unfortunate, I would say, or it's just a sad reality that because of the constant exposure to these outliers, it's easy to feel that you're not progressing fast enough and can cause you to feel impatient. And this is something that I deal with as well. It's always a matter of being aware enough to take perspective and know that you are, as long as you are making progress, that's the most important thing. But the skill sets still need to be developed. And sometimes it's going to take a bit longer than what we would like it to take. And that's totally fine. So yeah, that was the story that I wanted to share. Just some quick advice, because I thought it would be extremely useful and valuable for maybe someone else who is going through something similar. So anyways, that is my video for tonight. As always, I appreciate you for watching. Leave a comment below if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.